record that.
All right, well, first let's start. We're going to introduce ourselves. My name is Tim Richards, and this is my wife, Rachel Richards, and we are both Optavia health coaches. And so I know all of you at some form or another, your spouse or significant other is coaching with us. And so what we'd like to do is kind of just identify a little bit about maybe one of the reasons why you're here. Rachel and I were just talking a few minutes ago and thinking about what some of the perspectives might be, or maybe why you're here joining us tonight. Maybe your preconceived notion about what we do or what your spouse does. And so we kind of wanted to break that down. So some of you may be here because your spouse said, hey, come with me and be on the Zoom with me, right? And understand what I do, or listen to my coaching community. So that may be you. Maybe you're here because your spouse would love for you to join them. You're not really sure what it is that they do. Or maybe you're just here because you'd love to support them in a way because you love what's happening with them. And so we wanted to kind of give you the opportunity to ask some questions, but also for us to give you just some information about what it is we do as coaches.
Yeah, so we're going to assume nothing and start from the top in terms of Optavia, right? Looking at Optavia and just making sure that we cover who is Optavia and what are they about. And we'd really like to break that down. So Optavia is a mission and it is a business. So it's a mission and a business. You can't separate the two. If you try, it's really impossible. They are a mission, they are a business. They are extremely successful in terms of their track record, especially for their category. So what does that look like? They are $1 billion company. We just reached $1 billion in sales. That is an incredible achievement, especially in their space. When you kind of look at that in terms of growth, second fastest growing company in the world. A lot of times we hear this stuff and it just sounds static. Number one in wellness. So I want you to think, if your spouse was going for a job interview and they came home and said, honey, I am interviewing with the second fastest growing company in the world, ahead of Amazon, Tesla, you probably would be like, wow, well, let's make sure you're ready for that, you know? And I want to give you that perspective that is who you're dealing with, right? In terms of the actual company. We are a personal development organization, and we do have a nutrition arm, right? We do start. Healthy body is where we start. We certainly don't rest there. We're looking at having well-being. And really, we were chatting about this. I said, you know, if I was a spouse, I'd be like, well, it's great that you're getting a healthy body. But what we didn't know is what opportunity was there. The opportunity to design a life that made sense for us. That's the opportunity that we did not know was in front of us. It wasn't about designing a body. They were Optavia, Dr. A and his constituents. They were inviting us to design a life that made sense for us. Now, did we get that the first time we started coaching and stuff? No. That just went right over my head. And I'm like, healthy body, right? So maybe those things are new things that you're hearing about. And also they are built for purpose, meaning that extremely relevant right now. People are looking for health. They're looking for community. They're looking for the behavioral component of our program that they've never had in their healthy transformation. They've always been missing that. So when you wonder about the success, it's definitely not because we have a sales culture, because we don't actually. We actually do not have a sales culture. Our core philosophies are we're looking for people that are looking for us. And we know when we're built for purpose, what that means is people are looking for us and they are finding us and we are finding them, and we are braving that connection to be out there and make sure that people understand that we're there if that's the life that they want. So that's just kind of high level. Tim and I, our business produces about 5 million a year in terms of revenue. So is that where we started? Nope. We started in the cracks and crevices of our day, and we'll get into that in just a minute. Tim's going to kind of share a few minutes about our coaching story and where that shift came from. But, I am proud of that. And I want to share that with you tonight, that I am extremely proud, because what that represents is a lot of lives that have been impacted. That is a lot of yeses. That is a lot of people that bought program. That is a lot of people that got breakthrough because we said yes to coaching. If we wouldn't have said yes, none of that would have happened. So I do want to share that it is a legitimate business opportunity that your partner is embarking on. I kind of wanted to frame that up a little bit. So who's among us, right? Wow. We just made a short list: firefighters, paramedics, teachers, linemen, first responders, military, ministry, homeschool mamas, right? So we have some incredible folks that are on this team. They already had a noble profession, and yet they wanted more, right? So why would a fireman, why would, they make good money, right? They have fulfillment, they have purpose, they are getting that purpose button filled, but something was missing. And I'm going to let Tim kind of share a little bit about our story and just see what resonates with all of you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I think one of the things that's important to know is that when Rachel first started coaching, she really she had this passion to help people. She was helping people. We live in Temecula, and so she was helping people in Temecula with various ways of helping people to get healthy. And so actually a colleague of mine, another fireman, approached her and said, "Hey, I have this program, Optavia, and I'd like to share it with you." And in the beginning, she's very opposed to it. But she listened, and she called me. I remember the day she called me and said, "Hey, I want you to do this diet with me." And I was like, "Okay." And so we did. And I waited a year to start coaching with her. And what I saw from the outside is maybe what some of you are seeing. She was helping a lot of people. She was on the phone all the time. She was talking to people, and she was excited about what she was doing. And so a year into it, Rachel, our business grew to what's called executive director. We were helping about 20 people, or she was helping about 20 people. And she came to me and she said, "I'd really like for you to start helping me. And I'd like for you to help coach some of the guys, some of the husbands that are with the wives that are getting healthy." And I was like, "Okay, I can do this, right? I'm a fireman. People call me when they can't solve their problem, and I'll help you with that." And so I didn't know what I didn't know, and I kind of went at it. But what changed everything was I went to an event called Go Global in 2018, almost a year to the day after Rachel decided to start coaching. And what I found was this: I found the thing that I was looking for, which was something that I could do that was in service to people, that I could connect with other people in a way that I didn't have the ability to do at that moment. And to me, hearing Dr. A talk about how he is helping other people change the world by sharing what they're doing, to be conscious about the things that we so often are unconscious about, right? We put off the reality of what's going on in our life and expect that, scratching lottery tickets is going to all work out. It just doesn't, right? Mm-hmm. And so a year into it, in 2018, I joined with Rachel and I started coaching. And I just have to tell you, in the beginning, it was really simple. It was a way for us to find a way to bring me home more. And I'm grateful that Rachel, she saw this as a vehicle to do that. And so we did. We started chipping away. We said, okay, one less overtime, another less overtime, right? These are 24-hour shifts away from my family. We have 6 kids. And so this was a way for her to bring me home, and it was something that brought her a lot of fulfillment. And so when I heard Dr. Anderson talk about this mission of each one teaching one, this was something to me that was just profound. It was something that I felt was a way to empower people to help themselves. And it was the way that I was helping myself. And I knew that I couldn't do it alone. I knew that we needed a community. And I knew that I had to adopt a new way of thinking about going about health. And I was. I've lost 90 pounds. I've kept it off. And so when I first started coaching, my story and my what really inspired me about the program was getting healthy and fit. But what I can tell you today is what's inspiring to me is watching other people, some of which are in this room, that have become that light for other people in their community. And I'm watching them inspire a large amounts of people all across the country to do something different, to take a risk in terms of the easy path is easy, right? It keeps you right where you are, but they're doing something different. They're taking what they're learning about themselves and they're sharing with other people in the context of the coach, right? The coach's role is really just, look, I'm on this journey. I'm learning this as I go in terms of how I can be empowered to take control of my health. And I'd like for you to come with me on this journey. And I love the model because it's really simple. It doesn't require you to be an expert in health. It doesn't require you to be a nutrition. What it requires you to do is to be open enough to take somebody else with you, to say, hey, look, this is what's changing everything for me. This is what's, I talked to a client today. I'll share this with you really quickly because Rachel's got some really great stuff to share with you. And he said to me, the reason why I want to get healthy, the real reason why is I don't want to burden my wife with my health. And I said to him, I said, exactly why you're here is exactly why we're going to get to the bottom of this together. And so can I just tell you, that's so meaningful to me, to be in a space with other people where they trust you enough to say, this is what this number is really about. Like my weight, my health is really about. And so to partner with other people, to develop meaningful relationships with people is just something that is just so rare in our culture. And I just love being a part of it. So
awesome. Yeah. And it was great because the guys did not like being coached by me. I mean, they tolerated me, right? But let's be honest, I can't relate. I tried. So it was really cool to see these conversations happen amongst men. And it's just been profound. So a couple things in terms of why would you coach? If you did coach, if you did join your spouse, they joined with 3 primary drivers floating above their head. One might have been for them. They needed purpose and accountability. Some people have great jobs. They have great careers, even noble careers, but maybe they're not getting the purpose button and the fulfillment button hit, right? And so that could be a primary driver for your spouse if they're feeling is, I feel a sense of purpose in my life for the first time and it's magical, right? And you're like, wow, you're drinking the Kool-Aid, aren't you? And they're drinking the Kool-Aid. But I promise we're not a cult because cults make you do immoral and bad things. And I'm pretty sure we ain't doing none of that. So I say that jokingly, but I have had spouses in tears say, my husband thinks I joined a cult, and obviously jokingly, but all kidding aside, we have a very hot 6 mentality here. We do things that are, if we read them off to you, you'd go, yes, I firmly agree that those are good things and your values would align with them. But I get it. It can look like that and I get it. The second thing that could be floating above their head is that they, for the first time, feel this sense of accountability in their health. Like, I'm not going to quit because I'm out in front and I'm coaching other people and I'm reverse engineering my program. And I really feel like I'm getting it now that I'm teaching. The teacher always learns more than the student, always. So they might be experiencing that big time. And maybe you saw them before this going through yo-yo diets and crash diets and all of that. And you're wondering, is this going to stick, right? Well, that's probably why it'll stick, because they're actually creating that stickiness, which is helping other people. And then the last bucket that could be real for them is they want to contribute to the financial household. They want to have some contribution. They want to experience that. And maybe they haven't ever, or maybe they just see a need in the family and they realize this vehicle, like I did. I was loving helping people, but I also saw this guy working overtime like crazy. And then as I started helping people and seeing that there was real income here just by helping people, and I wasn't going to stop helping people, so I knew the income wasn't going to stop. I came to him and I said, I think we have a vehicle for our family. And I think I might be missing it or selling it short because I haven't read the comp plan or anything. And that's when it started for me, where I realized, you know what, Rachel, this is a vehicle. And I come from business, so I can recognize a good comp plan when I see one. And when I actually took the time to read the sucker, I was like, wow, Optavia is a very generous organization. And we only do it if people are getting healthy. You ain't going to get paid anything if no one's getting breakthrough, right? So those are the three things. Now ask yourself, maybe as a supportive role, what would your primary bucket be? And it's okay if it's wildly different than your spouse's, where you're like, I don't want the accountability, but I really want the income for our family. That's great. Don't be apologetic about that. This is a really good career and profession. As you can see, so many others are joining. One thing that's really important is structure. So we kind of talked about this. What's needed to support your spouse or partner?
Yes.
Helping them establish business hours that are just for Optavia. Super important, right? And that way you have like, hey, we have these other values, right? And things that we need to do, date night, quality time with kiddos, bedtime stories, whatever. And now we're popping open enough time to work this business because, as I said, it's a business and it's a mission. I do want to give you a little perspective as you set business hours for this opportunity. Let me give you just a little bit of perspective. Supporting about 17 clients or your spouse supporting about 17 individuals pays about $32,000 to $34,000 a year. It takes approximately 5 to 7 business hours a week to do that. Okay, so I want that to kind of resonate. Now, if I were to open up a business, go franchise something, or just say, wow, I need to net $34,000 a year from my little small business, I would have to take out a loan. It would start at 150 grand to break into anything. And that's being very conservative. I would have to work approximately 50 to 60 hours for 12 to 18 months to see any return on my small business. So this can be something to where you go, oh, shoot. I've kind of been telling them you're on your phone a lot. What are you doing? And if you can sit down and just set business hours that make sense for your life collectively and support that work that they're doing, because it pays just as good as most things, if not better. And there are places to go after that. I'm not going to get into the comp plan. Also, you guys see this big disclaimer. This is my compensation disclaimer. I have to say that doesn't come easy. It comes through hard work, dedication, and training, and that it's not a quick fix, get rich program. This is something that you have to put in the time and effort to learn, like anything else. Anything you want to color in on that too?
Yeah, I would just say, just in the context that we talked about, maybe the place that you're coming from perspective as you're sitting here is supporting your spouse. I think one of the things that Rachel and I didn't do early on is set business hours. The one thing that I know now about health coaching is there is no emergencies in health coaching. So having business hours is extremely important because it's very easy when you're doing something you love for it to bleed into other things. And if you're an accountant or a physician, it's easy. You're like, I'm saving people. I'm saving businesses from going bankrupt. But when it's health coaching or when it's your small business, it's like, honey, what are you doing? So I think it's important to set those business hours because it does give you the ability to enjoy the fact that it does take just 5 to 7 hours. So come together, talk about those things, but also talk about what you could be doing with this opportunity, meaning have a plan, have a vision, dream about what you're going to do with the extra. Most people really pay no mind or do any justice to more income without putting it to use. And so consider talking about what you're going to do with that. Be responsible with it, knowing like, hey, this could solve a problem financially for a lot of people. So I think that just a tip, because we have a lot of couples here, to think about that. Have those conversations. Talk about why are you doing this? What's the driver behind you? Is it fulfillment and purpose? Is it accountability, or is it some financial goal that you have for our family? So I think those would be some tips to thinking about with this.
Yeah, super good. Also, your spouse is learning how to create a healthy legacy for your family. So a lot of us never got this health class that we're getting every Saturday on book club. We just didn't get the science. We didn't get the know-how of like, is milk good or bad? Are you supposed to eat this or not? And just imagine that legacy of health going through generations. That's something that I didn't see right away. But now I see it in my grandkids and things like that. That permanency of health being the culture. I don't know what that's worth to you guys, but for us, that's something that when I sat and like prayed this morning about what we would say to you guys and share, it was like legacy kept coming in my head. Like legacy, this is a legacy that we're building of also teaching our kids that ordinary people can do extraordinary things with their life, and they don't have to have been born rich or highly intelligent. Like Optavia gives us all a space to be able to work that out. And for $199 to start a business is just incredible to create that legacy. Our payback for some of us was the same day we bought our kit, the next week, the next month, a couple months later. It's really incredible to think about that. In terms of a realistic time frame for your spouse to really know what they're doing and feel confident. Remember that confidence leads to competence. If they're not on trainings, I know he did not mean to, but he'd be like, you got to get on another training. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to learn my trade here, and it was totally opposite of what I had learned in wellness, because in wellness, we kept people broken because we made a lot of money off of that. Like, not intentionally, don't get me wrong, but the model is like, I know
model's
something
broken.
you don't know, right? Well, this is so different. So that paradigm shift took me at least a year to even get through my ears. But just knowing that it does take about a year for them to have that competence that leads to confidence and helps them to do it smarter, better, faster, and in structure. They're not going to know how to do that at first. They're going to look messy, like they're working all the time. Trust that your mentors are here to help them with that. And we do ask how many hours they're working. How long do your client check-ins take? Why are you on social media all the time? Stuff like that, to really give them those hours back in their family life, which is super important to Optavia. We value family. So with that, events are important. We do recommend that everyone that works and earns money with Optavia, they are 1099. We are all 1099. Some of us have chosen to incorporate and have LLCs or S Corps. There's a time where that makes sense. You need to really look at that individually and with your mentorship. But we recommend that every coach save 10% of all of their earnings for events and trainings and costs to reinvest back in their business. There's really no business that can operate well or long without reinvestments back into the business. So it's a good idea to just save that right off the top and not spend all the Optavia money, because it is actually, a business. You can join your spouse for no additional cost. They already bought a business. Optavia is very generous. They don't charge like a co-applicant fee. You can be a co-applicant. You can double down and join in. And you may have different reasons, different skills. And now we treat you like a brand new coach, like a separate coach of your spouse. And we go through that whole launch and training with you. So it's not like, well, you're married to a coach, you got it, right? No. We actually treat you as if you're an individual launching your business from the top, and we skip nothing and we invest in you fully. So you are doubling down in your mentorship and you don't pay any extra to do that. I thought that was really awesome of them. Anything to add there?
I would just
before we
say,
open
here's the thing, that
questions?
when I heard the word mentorship, I'm like, what does that mean? Like, does that mean that they're going to be telling me what to do? No, that's not really what it is. It's most of you have mentors. You call them accountant or CPA or lawyer or doctor or whatever, right? They're the people that you're trusted advisor. And so we do this as a way to help other people to get out on the skinny branches in life and do big things. A lot of the coaches here, I know their dreams of what they're looking to do in life. And we're just there to say, hey, we already made that mistake. Here's what I would do. If you're asking me, here's what I would do. And so a lot of the times we're collaborating, we're talking about better ways to connect with people, build relationship. This is a relationship, I don't know if we mentioned that, but this is 100% relationship. And so how we help people is we got to connect with them. And sometimes we do it on social media. Sometimes we do it at the grocery store. One of the best things I love about what I've learned from coaching is it's easier to be Tim's friend. Like, I didn't have a lot of friends. It was hard for me to make friends. Like, that may seem meaningless to you. It was important to me. It said a lot about who I was. And so as I connect with people, I connect in a different way. People receive me differently. The way that I express myself to other people is totally different. And I love that, because what's one of the side, and Rachel talked about legacy, what's really cool is I'm watching my kids do that. And I can't think of a better way to be in service of mankind than to help other people to learn how to communicate well with people and build meaningful relationships. So this business has been amazing for that. And all of the points that Rachel hit on were extremely important for that.
So lastly, before we open up for Q&A, I want a solid 10 minutes of that for you guys and really be unplugged with your questions. There's no dumb question. Is how to share. Like if you're not going to join your spouse, how to share. So he would go to work and guys would, ask. And at first he didn't share the most effective way, right? So the best thing to do that we moved to was guys would comment on his physique or his energy or something, right? Oh, why aren't you needing coffee? You've been running calls all night. And he would say, well, my wife is a health coach and she's recently really dialed me in. We've got this incredible, health coaching business, and I would love to put you in touch with her. If I start getting into it, I'm just going to botch it. It's okay to say that and say, what I do know is she starts with a health assessment, because there's like 17 different programs and she has to assess what you're trying to create. Put them in touch and don't get into bars, shakes, Optavia. You go into fat burn, it's kind of like a ketosis, but it's not like a ketosis. And the next thing you know, it's like off the rails and they're super confused and they go type in Optavia and they're just like, what is this, right? So how to share is very important. Where to go from here? A coach explore. Your own coach explore with whoever invited you to say, man, I have way more questions. I want to explore this for me. I want to really look at the time that I have to help. That would be a good next step. And then really making sure that you guys are in a space to get to convention. Our annual convention is in Atlanta. It's in July every year, and it's now at the State Farm Arena, and we're in contract with them for a very long time. So that's something every July around the 20th to the 23rd, more or less, every year.
End of the month.
Usually, and it's that Thursday, Friday, kind of that week of July. That's something that is imperative for them to attend and really soak up that learning curve. That learning curve takes a while. And also it takes a while for them to start learning how to be an entrepreneur, because that is not normal for us. We're all typically coming in with an employee mindset. And so we really work on that. So I hope this was helpful. We probably didn't cover everything. I do want to open it up to Julie, Brian, John, Katie, Kevin, Megan, whomever wants to share. I see Alan. So we've got some couples and we've got some lumps on our heads. So you guys can ask us anything, but Tim and I are just going to mute ourselves and let you ask some of these couples any questions that you have from anything that we've said. Or guys, if you just want to add something too, certainly.
Well, I guess I'll start. Everybody else is going to be quiet. It's all those things, right? Everybody's story is a little bit different, but ironically, it sounds like a lot of us guys is a lot like Tim's, where we get to watch our wives or our spouses develop something. And for me, it was really neat. It was inspirational to me because I got to watch Amy do something that I've always wanted her to do, which was to believe in herself, to create something of her own. And getting to watch that, it changed everything in me. It was actually a big piece as to why I took my own health seriously and came on, and then really get to meet Tim and Rachel Richards, which for me is a defining event in my life for sure. So getting to experience that, and then now getting to turn around and share that. What I find really, really neat is if Rachel had invited Tim along to help and join her in this journey, right? There's a high probability that Brian and Brian Russell's not here. Brian Russell's not here. There's a high probability I'm not here, which in turn turns around and how many different people would have been void of the life change. So guys, gals, if you're supporting that supportive role, whether or not you become a health coach or a business coach and decide to join the journey in that respect, the supportive role is so huge, is so big, to be able to just be there. Hey, like, I got the kids tonight. I know you got these calls. I understand, like, let me help you frame this out so I can support what you're doing wholeheartedly. So I want to let somebody else take that thing, because we all experience that. Brian, my coach, is here, and I know he's got stuff to say.
Thank you, Alan.
I always can find something to say, but are there any questions before I talk? Is there anybody out there that's got a question? Go ahead. Did you raise your hand, Ronnie?
Ronnie? Yeah, I did. So this is my wife, Julie, and I'm new to coaching. So this is a brand new experience for us. I'm not new to structures like this. However, I don't think I've found anything like this. So I was very intrigued when Alan reached out to me, and I'm also having great results on my health. So here's our issue, not issue, but this is something I'd like for somebody to address. Two different personalities here. So I'm a people person. I can talk to paint specks on a wall and I'm okay and I'm happy. Julie loves a good book and a nice private porch, and she's happy. So, but I want to do something now that we're empty nesters. I want to do something together. However, I do not want to put any pressure on her and make her feel trapped into joining me on this journey. Can you guys address that and just say, how can I be a good person and be patient and see if Julie, if this is something she wants to come into with me. I know she supports me 100%, anything that I do. So that's not the issue. But if I'm inviting her and would like for her to join me as a coach, somebody speak to that, how that was, something in your journey and how you handled that.
You can want her to do that till the cows come home. And it's honestly, it's going to be Julie's decision. And the first thing I would say, Ronnie, is that if she decides to coach, great. If she decides not to, you have to be okay with that. But how do we get to that point? My suggestion would be, Julie, just involve yourself in the community. If that's what you're feeling right now. Take aside that Optavia's nutritional arm is highly effective, completely predictable, mind-blowing results, transformations. You can find hundreds of them. The community is the piece that sets us apart. The fact that we don't just deal with diets and we don't just deal with the physical, we get into the emotional and the relational part of our health, which if we ignore those pieces, the physical pieces is temporary. Trust me, that's the cycle that we've all been in. So without that emotional intelligence and without that community, we're going to go back and we will go back. Statistics they show that we will go back to our old habits and to our old selves. So that community is really the difference. So Julie, if you're thinking about it at all, I would highly recommend just join in on the community stuff. You're more than welcome. Please join us on Monday night calls, the book clubs, anything like this. You're more than welcome to listen in, be a part of. You don't have to hide behind him, be on camera with him. You guys are there, whether you're a coach on your Facebook page or you're a supporting spouse, you're part of the team. So yeah, welcome, and fill it out.
Really, really quick little point. So Optavia paid for a survey of all of the kind of the top coaches, right? Survey Monkey, there was some psychological stuff that they went through in terms of like the Blanchard organization. And what we found out was, I think it was 65% of Optavians were introverts and only 45 were extrovert, or whatever, 35. I'm not good at math. I'm good with people. So yeah, 35% was extroverts. And so what's interesting about that is, remember this, if there is someone that's like, I just love a good book and the porch, and they want to get healthy, they're going to want to do it with Julie. So it's like they're going to relate to each individual. And we have I mean, Tim and I could not be more opposite some days, right? In terms of, and then we have a lot of similarities, but some of our opposites are so drastic. And it's just been beautiful to harmonize them and really be able to help both groups of people, those that are extroverts and could talk all day, and those that are really on a health assessment, you have to kind of pry it out and help them drop their wall. They're more comfortable with someone who's a little calmer and a little, that's their speed, and that's who will attract to you if you do decide to help people. Any other good questions? These are really good, you guys. Keep them coming. We have a few more minutes.
Hey guys, I'd like to speak on the topic of going to events and how important those are as far as being a spouse or a supportive companion in this journey. Last year when we went to convention, it was Megan and I's first time to convention. We had never been before. I knew basics, of everything that Megan was doing with the program and how she was integrated with the community. And I felt like I knew everyone that was doing the program because I heard their voice every night in the background when she was on Zoom calls. But going to the convention and actually getting to meet everyone in person, catch the vision from Dr. A himself and all of the speakers at the convention was like a big turning point for me. Within a month of getting back from that, I decided that I wanted to get on the program myself and get healthy as well. And right then after that, I decided I wanted to help coaching as well. So I kind of jumped in with 2 feet and I saw the value in it. And I saw what Megan was trying to do for our family. And I felt like for us to really be effective and to kind of just get after it together was for me to join her and get on board. And it's been a really great decision and something I never thought I would be doing. It just kind of morphed into that. But I'm really excited that I did do it. And I can't really say much more about it except for it's a really great decision.
I love it. Yeah, I think one of the things, just in Kevin's point, is, what's interesting is when Rachel and I started coaching together, she alluded to it, we were like fire and ice, and some of the things, our approach, the way that we did things. But can I just tell you, like, that was the magic, like what we worked that out, like we figured out. And that is made such a meaningful step in our relationship. And we've been married almost 20 years. And I know some of you here probably have a speed, but I just want to tell you, like, there's lots of people that have, the tick marks are like, well, I've been married this long, but can I just tell you, like, what's changed in our marriage came from the work that we had to do in order to help other people. And so getting underneath it, part of it is coaching, like, because you have the ability to connect with someone authentically about what's changing you. And so in doing so, we've grown so much closer. We've learned to honor each other. Some of you know, because you've watched us in these Zooms for years now, and you've seen how we figured it out. And it's been amazing. It's been an amazing journey. I'm excited for the next 5 years in our business, for what we're going to learn about each other, what we're going to learn about some of you. And it's just been great. So I think the gift is in the actual act of coaching and learning and being curious and being humble. And it's just been awesome. It really is a gift. So
yeah, we thank you guys so much for tuning in. If there's any burning questions, take yourself off mute. But if it can wait, this is what I would suggest. If this is like, wow, I'm stirred, or I have more questions, you have mentorship that can help really unlock it. Sorry, Cherie, did you have a question? Or
no, I actually have them because she's the coach.
Right.
And so I see Brian's here. He's my coach. I've met you, Rachel. But you mentioned how the guys, the spouses were first, right? You guys started coaching. I was curious to know, like, what were the things that you did? Maybe you have some specific things that you did to actually support your spouse, first of all. And what were the things that kind of started to, click for you to find yourself being drawn into coaching?
I'll take a stab at that one. So the supportive role right out of the gate. It was really, for me, it was the easy part was the affirmation part, because I watched Julie like explode into this other person. She became this leader. My Julie, Ronnie, very much like your Julie, was very quiet, had friends and everything, but not an outspoken, person. And I've watched her grow into this person who is just so bold and so, just so inspiring when she's teaching and working with other people and just having such impact. So it was really easy to be affirming and just, letting her know, what a great job she's doing, how blown away I was with some of the stuff I was hearing her say and watching her do. Yeah, when it became my time to do it, I was scared to death. So, so there's that part. And then for me, like what changed, like when I decided, like, one, I will tell you the event, we went to Cabo, and I had already been coaching, but I was kind of toe dipping. I hadn't really went all in. But I'll be honest with you, the paychecks that started rolling in got my attention. I went, wow, this is legit. Like there's an opportunity here to not only help a bunch of people, because that was our goal, but like we can supplement our income. Maybe I don't have to work so much overtime. Maybe there's an opportunity that this is not a small business. It's only a small business if we want it to be. Like there's an opportunity here for this to be a big business and really have impact. So that's my two. If anybody else wants to add into that.
I made him do it too. That was the other part. I'm kidding.
Your spouse may start to ninja you with like, hey, that was below the line, or you're not being an open, coachable, curious, right? You're going to get all this personal development thrown at you. So my advice is just jump on in so that you can hold your own, because they're definitely going to develop interpersonally, not into a perfect specimen, but somebody who's aware of their shortcomings. I think that's what's so cool about our community, is like the jig is up, right? We all know that we're hot messes in progress, and that we are dedicated to designing a healthier mindset that will build a healthier life. And so if that appeals to you, even just the personal development, that's where a lot of spouses come in, because they're like, hey, this version, like Brian said, this version of my spouse is amazing. I got to get in because I need the source code. Like what's going on? So I hope that helps. There's a lot more we could share, but I think you're just going to have that discernment that, wow, we can help so much more people. And that's really the call to. You'll see a lot of folks, their spouse will get real busy, and they'll see like, we're helping so many families. And if I were to help or join, we could really impact this world. We at Optavia, we say we chase the impact. And that's true. So if you feel like you can impact, it's a good idea to do a Coach Explore and just ask all your questions with the mentors and unpack it. And it might be, you know what, this is amazing, not now. This is amazing right now. Or I'm going to stay one heck of a supporter, and I now know what that support looks like. I do think a lot of our coaches have felt at times like the work that they're doing here, even though it's legitimate, it's making an impact, and it provides one heck of a part-time income, like it's not treated like real work, right? And so that would probably be my biggest unplugged thing, is like treat it like real work, because it definitely is. And just like we wouldn't walk into, say, an office and hand the kids to someone at an office, that here is also taxing, because it's like we are actually doing legitimate work for a very legitimate company. So I just want to give you guys that encouragement, that unplugged. And we really appreciate your time tonight, for carving out the time on the fly. We did record this. We will save it and put it in our coaching page. And if you're a spouse and you're like, I want to be added to the coaching community page, no problem. There's some stuff you could see in there too that might be really cool. So you can definitely do that. We thank you guys. And then follow-up questions, we're all here for you. This is just the tip of the iceberg, but we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you guys. Have a great night.
Good night.
Take care.